This thing helps me, with my two biggest bugaboos, with my pivot and getting parallel left. So when I practice with this, like, I pretty much assure myself that I'm going to hit the ball great that day because my pivot's good and my body alignment's great relative to my aim. For me, I love using it for a pivot. So I know you had it this way for forward and backward lean with the head, but I'd be more apt to set it up this way because I don't struggle too much with pivot with my head moving too far, towards the ball and away from the ball. It's more lateral. So for me, just getting this red line to split the golf ball at address and then maintaining that perception all the way back and through, that's huge. Because typically when I set up, if I'm not thinking about it, I swing back and I see like an inch of grass between the ball and the red line. So when I'm hitting, a lot of times I won't even focus on contact necessarily. I'm just swinging back and trying to hit the ball and not have the red line change as it sits relative to the golf ball. No, just set up consistently every day and have a good perception of where you're trying to go, and the ball typically will want to go there if what you're doing is repetitive,
Right.
And it's good, right? If you have a good pattern and you set up to it well, you should be pretty repetitive.
Yeah.
Well, right. Well, that's where, like with the 5SK stuff, like this study had, like we don't call it keeping your head still.
Right.
It's just you want your head to stay relatively steady.
Yeah, I think that's like one perception people have is like keep your head still. Yes, it's still that it doesn't move like this way, but you could still turn your head this way without it moving this way, So it's like these guys take this big shoulder turn without going like this, but their head does move a little bit that way.
Right, it has to rotate on the axis. Otherwise,
they're going to just be like right here.
You'd have no turn, right?
So it's like learning to turn and turn your head without going like that. Or
right, it's like your head.
that.
Like if you think about your head, like relative to the earth, like just the core, like that little pebble that's in the core of your head, like the center of your head, like that really doesn't move a whole lot. But the direction that your head is tilted or looking, or however you want to think about it, that can change, like the rotation of your head on the axis of your spine.
I noticed that in my downswing, I tended to like shift a little bit this way. So, for me, it's easy to like turn back and stay centered because I was taught that, just from a young age. But I was also taught to like go like this a little bit. So my hips slid and my head slid. So now I'm just trying to do more of this rotation.
Right. What you're doing there is you're keeping your right hip more externally rotated. So your lower body stays more
neutral. It's like going this way, you mean?
Yeah, so like basically the difference in those two swings, your head stayed more steady because instead of coming down and feeling your hips like bump forward or slide like you said, as you came down, like you externally rotated both hips, and then you start to pivot more neutral where your pelvis stays between your heels.
Right. So you're going to be so much better off than like these guys that are on the range. They hit a shot and then they're like, oh, that went left, so let's aim more right, or that went right, let's aim more, like they're just adjusting all over the place and there's no repetition being created.
Right. It's not, instead of, which would be better, would be this alignment and this setup is good. Now let's find the ball first. Once we find the ball, let's find the target.
Yeah.
Think about it a little bit backwards from that perspective.
And then just finding a way to like carry it onto the course where it's like what you practice brings confidence to what you're doing on the course,